Hello, my beautiful human. Welcome back to the She Did It Anyway podcast. I am so excited you're here. Even more excited to tell you about our new program that is now open for enrollment, Personal Brand Power. So if you are an entrepreneur, an executive, a freelancer, an athlete, a creator, an influencer, and you are looking to build your personal brand, really understand how you're positioning yourself in your industry, crafting your story, creating a social media strategy and marketing strategy. If you are really looking to speak on stages, maybe start a podcast, write a book, start a business, whatever it is, but really doubling down on your personal brand, this program is for you. It is a very exclusive 6-month program, and I'm going to drop our application in the show notes. I am so excited because this program is unlike anything else that exists. Like I said, it's 6 months. We have our group coaching calls. We have one-on-ones that's already in there. Empowered Confidence is doing your personal brand audit. So before you even dive into the program, we are going to create a personal brand audit for you and scrub the literal internet, craft a personal brand report, essentially, so you understand truly where you're starting. And I know that this report has surprised so many of our clients. Create a really clear plan and a roadmap for your personal brand. And I'm just so excited. The curriculum that we're teaching inside the course has been a curriculum that I've been teaching now for a very long time, but really focused on our consulting clients and our one-on-one clients. This is the first time now that we're putting the curriculum in a course format for more women to learn. So it's going to be amazing. I am so excited. Like I said, I dropped the link in the show notes. So go ahead and apply and we'll set up a call and we'll talk a little bit more about what your goals are and go from there. But this tees me up perfectly for this episode. And I want to talk about the 5 things that are really going to help you build a personal brand that resonates with people to allow you to build a community. So let's just dive right in. The first thing and the most important thing that you can possibly do is really identify your unique value proposition. So what does that mean? A lot of businesses will identify their unique value proposition for the company. And this is really cool because I've done this from both sides, like from a corporate brand perspective and then from a personal brand perspective. For today, we're going to talk about the personal brand, but really identifying what unique value you have to offer. The reason why this is my favorite thing is because social media has kind of diluted how everybody shows up, and it blurs really like what authenticity means for each and every single one of us. I know for me, sometimes like I'll call it quote unquote market research, but I am in this scrolling hole of just looking at what everybody else is doing, looking at what my competitors are doing, trying to get inspiration. But what happens is it literally dilutes my creative confidence and like my ability to think about what is the value that I want to provide. And so first defining what your unique value proposition is, like what is the value that you can provide and how can you provide it differently? And so for me, I talk about personal branding, and that is like my bread and butter. That is the topic. That is, the quote unquote my niche that I'm in. But really what's really unique about it is that I'm blending the concept of like building confidence and entrepreneurship and my story, and then providing the personal brand value and knowledge through the different avenues that I have. So social media, the podcast, in person, events, like I do it in a different way than maybe someone that just focuses on course creation does. I also create, I create our teaching curriculum to be different. So for instance, a lot of people can teach you about content pillars. We don't just talk about content pillars, we talk about your unique content proposition. And so we create different names for our content so it could be unique to us. And by us, I mean Empowered Confidence. And so really defining what is your unique value proposition? What can you provide value on? And for you to really start identifying that, I love, drumroll please, surprise, surprise, I love journaling all the things that I want to talk about down. And I've done this before in so many different stages in my life and personal brand. But specifically recently, what I've done is I will write everything down literally just different ideas. This could be in a bullet format. I personally like to do it in a bullet format. And then I will categorize them in like buckets essentially. And so like, what is anything that has to do with storytelling will go into one bucket. Anything that has to do with motherhood goes into one bucket. Anything that has to do with, messaging goes into one bucket. And so really figuring out what are the different categories that are going to be organizing your value that you want to provide. And then I dive in a little deeper of, well, how do I want to teach this or share this value? I personally used to love writing blog articles. I don't love that anymore. And so I don't want to force myself to write articles that I'm not going to stay consistent in. So really figuring out what is your value and how you want to share that value. Okay. What's really important is identifying the value, because not only is it going to help you from a content perspective, but it's going to help you when you're trying to resonate with your ideal client, with someone in online or in the internet or someone you meet in person. Because as I've always said, and I say it like every single time I talk about personal branding, because it's so important and so many people miss this, but your personal brand is literally just the value that you provide. That is how someone is going to remember you. They're going to remember you because you have provided some sort of value, and they're going to translate that value in their own way. So that value could be education, that information that you've educated them on. This could be a feeling. This could be a moment, like whatever it is, they're going to take that value that you share and they're going to translate it however they want to translate it. Thinking about what is the value that you want to provide and how can you share that uniquely. The second thing is really crafting a very authentic story. Before I even call it like a compelling and clear story, I want it to be so authentic to you where you are not thinking about how anybody else in your industry is sharing their story. That is the most important thing. A lot of us will go online, like I said, quote unquote, do market research, find a competitor and look at their information, look at their about page, look at their bio, look at, how they share their messaging, and then try to then go immediately and write your own messaging. What happens is, again, it makes you lose that creative confidence. It makes you lose that authenticity to how you want to share your story. And so take a step back, start brain dumping your story, and then taking that brain dump, curating a very compelling story. A compelling story meaning that it is going to have a beginning, middle, and end, and it's going to really keep the reader from getting distracted per se. Like you're really capturing their attention in the beginning. You're letting them know like the juicy stuff in the middle, and then you're letting them know where you are now. So they feel invested in who you are and really resonating with who you are. A lot of us, especially when we're building our personal brand, we are talking about ourselves. We talk about like the good and the exciting part, our credentials, like our certifications, what makes us who we are in terms of like our accomplishments, but we don't actually talk about who we are. We focus a lot more about what we do and who we do it for, which is only a part of it. So I want you to remember when you're creating your story to talk more about who you are than just what you do, because that is where you're going to be able to shift that perspective of that other person and be able to build that connection and resonate with them. The third thing and the most important thing that you can possibly do is be as consistent as possible with your messaging. Honestly, I've said it, entrepreneurship can be really, really boring, and writing and showing up on social can be even more boring because you have to literally repeat yourself over and over and over and over and over again. You just rinse and repeat. And so when you're thinking about your brand messaging, you are the brand. Do not stray from your brand messaging. If at any point you feel like, oh, this brand messaging is keeping me in a box, maybe it's not helping me grow, it's not showcasing everything that I do, then you can go back to the drawing board and do a full rebrand, but don't try to change your brand messaging every other month or every other day or even 6 months. Like I recommend having a year at the very least where you are just being as consistent as possible with your brand messaging. Your brand messaging is the words that you use when you're talking about anything, just like the tone and the voice. So making sure that that's really consistent. You're not showing up like one day that's like super, super professional and using words that like you never usually use. And then another day you're like, hey girl, and like having this very bubbly tone. you just have to be consistent with the brand tone. Your brand messaging, so meaning your mission, your bio, your content that you're sharing, maybe a topic that you're focused on, like what is the angle that you're taking. So just staying consistent as possible for as long as possible. It is about the long game. The fourth thing is really leveraging social media. Just the digital online presence is going to help you so much when it comes to resonating with your community, with a community, when it comes to building your personal brand, because one, it's free. Two, it is a tool that every single person is using. I think there's like 8 billion people on it right now. It's something crazy, or 3 billion. It's insane. There is no reason why you should not have an online presence, and it will only hold you back if you don't. And so really doubling down on that messaging, staying consistent, making sure you're very clear about the value you provide, and then also just trying to stay as authentic as possible when you are sharing your story and doing that online. So do a full social media audit. Just take a look at everything that you have, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, YouTube. Google your name and see what comes up. That is so important. And just making sure that you have everything up to date and just like cleaning up your personal brand digitally. And the last thing, which ties all of these 4 things in, is really focus on building and nurturing your community. Like making sure that you are building relationships on and offline, but online is going to make it easier. So then you can like pivot in person and meet people in person and grow, because you can connect with more people online, especially at one time. But really making sure that your end goal is building a community. If your goal is not to build a community, you are going to struggle with monetizing and elevating and scaling your personal brand, because people don't know you and people aren't vouching for you. So put yourself in a room, really start like connecting with people, DMing people, engaging. So nurture and grow. Don't just focus on just the growing. You want to make sure that you're nurturing the community that you have. I hope these 5 tips really help you. I wanted to get straight to the point when it comes to how to build a personal brand that resonates with people. As a little challenge, I would love for you to take a moment and think about, what do I want people to know me for? What are the things that I really want people to say about me, feel about me, especially when you're not in the room? What are those things that I can do to ensure that? What are the posts that I have to post? What are the topics I have to talk about? Like, what are the conversations that I need to have to make sure that people know me for X, Y, and Z? As long as you are so clear about what you want people to know you for, the easier it is to create your unique value proposition, the easier it is to create an authentic story and to be consistent with your brand messaging, to build an online presence, and to nurture and grow your community. Figure out what it is that you want people to know you for. Ask some of your friends, ask on your story, like, what do you come to me for? What are you on my page for? Why do you follow me? And it is going to be such a good benchmark. I love to do this. I actually did this right before my pivot between, or my evolution between like my fitness career and life and then like entrepreneurship and or even working in corporate, because I wanted to know, do people still follow me for fitness advice like years later or not? And some people did say they still follow me for like my health and wellness content, which is so funny because I don't talk about that nearly as much, if ever. And so that to me opened up my eyes to, oh, I have an opportunity right now to talk more about this stuff, because that is what I want to really like gravitate my audience and my community towards. So do a quick audit on yourself, figure out what it is that you want people to know you for. Capture some data of like what people actually follow you for, and use that as opportunity. I love you. I am so excited to hear from you, and I cannot wait to see your application come in for our personal brand power program. This program is going to be unfreaking real. So let me know if you have any questions on it, and we can jump on a quick call. All right. Love you. Mwah. Have a good day. And don't forget, no matter what, she did it anyway.
You did it, Mom.